Good morning. We are excited to have you here today and very excited to have Liliya with us. I am not going to even try your last name, Liliya, because I don't want to get it wrong. But Liliya is what I consider a master at NACA, which is it is an assistance program for down payment. And she's going to walk us through the good, bad, and the ugly of working with NACA. So we're so excited to have her here. And feel free to ask questions. If you don't have questions, or in the middle, if you would please mute yourself so that we can keep our noise down to a minimum so everybody can hear Liliya, that would be awesome. So Miss Liliya, please take it away, girl.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. It's still morning. I am working with NACA for a few years, since 2006. And been done multiple transactions very successfully. Over 300 families moving to the NACA finance houses over the past 10 years and multiple right before that. To talk about NACA, it is a lot of information to cover, and I have just 1 hour. So what I will try to cover, it would be information that is how to start working with NACA, what NACA is about, and if you have clients who is potentially NACA, I would call material, then we're going to talk about your specific questions at the end. NACA opened doors in 1986. NACA is a nonprofit organization that was based and opened as a result of the lawsuit, which Bruce Marks, who is founder and owner and currently conducting business for NACA, he was suing banks against discrimination and taking advantage of blue-collar immigrants. As you remember, in the 80s, it was 15% interest rate, just slightly higher than today, for people who is white collar, and people who were blue collar or not really American citizens or not American permanent residents, it was 18+ interest rate. Bruce Marks opened a lawsuit and he won that lawsuit. As a result, he had a grant of $12 billion and responsibility of opening a company that would have a different procedure compared to any regular banking system for qualification of people. 2 banks were punished, I would say, by that court day, and must open a department, special NACA department, working with NACA qualified buyers. So NACA is a qualification agency. They don't have their own money. They qualify people for purchase. After they qualify, people move to the next stage, find a house, and then depends on the status, American Social Security number, which is citizen and permanent residents, or people who has a work visa, which is tax ID. If tax ID, then people were working with Citibank. If it is Social Security number, people working with Bank of America. So it is a separate Bank of America department that's located in Texas, working with entire United States. In the United States today, we have NACA offices, 48 offices in 32 states. Some states, like Georgia, we have 2 offices, and they are planning to open a 3rd office in Savannah. Due to Corona, probably it would be postponed. So if we, excuse me, if we're going to NACA website, so to start working with NACA, you need to register for your agent's qualification, certification. And they have a registration class and certification class at the CAL board. Right now, it's most likely everything is online. But previously you had to go and attend class for 4 hours. It is CE class. And as a result, you would be able to help people with NACA. Oh, excuse me, NACA calling. You would be able to help people with NACA buyers to go through the program. Even loan officers who's working previously with all different banks, when they start working with NACA, it is for them a new territory because, as I said, they created a new certification qualification procedures. It is different compared to regular financing. As agents, when you attend NACA qualification class, you will learn our agent side working with NACA. If we're going with NACA class, let me share my screen with you. Okay, can you see my screen? Okay, if you're going to NACA class, as a result, we need to go and register at NACA. To do that, we're going to vendors, NACA.com and ACA.com, vendors and real estate, it is real estate agents. Go on the bottom, definitely read whatever is on the top, and on the bottom you can read not registered and sign up. It is going to be your own first step. To talk about NACA, what is everything is about there, we need to go to purchase, and today's NACA rate is 3%. So NACA program is not down payment assistance program. A lot of people mistaken it. When you're saying, have you ever had a chance to work with NACA? They say, oh yeah, it is one of the down payment assistance program. No, NACA is not down payment assistance program. NACA is Neighborhood Stabilization, Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America, which is for stabilization of neighborhoods. They're helping buyers to get qualified, buyers who otherwise would not be able to buy a house. How they do that? Right here on the screen, you can see no down payment, no closing cost, no points or fees, no credit score consideration. And also, it is one more no mortgage insurance. Doesn't matter if you put 0 down or you put 50% down. It is no mortgage insurance. It is no credit score required, which I had people who had 0 credit score, literally. They moved to United States 2 years ago. They did not open any single credit card, and they were able to buy through NACA because they didn't have any challenges on the credit report. Saying no credit score, it does not mean no credit score required, but it does not mean that they are not checking on the credit report. Credit report is what they're paying attention to very closely because NACA is character-based, not credit score-based, which means that they're asking people to complete a budget. They're asking people to provide any challenges on credit reports with explanation. Explain why you were late. If it was late payments on the last 12 months, it might be necessary to wait for another 12 months until the end of the 12-month period after the last late payments. If you had any foreclosure or short sale or bankruptcy, you have to wait just 2 years instead of 4, 5, 7, 10. Zero closing cost. It is, they say it is zero closing cost, but in my eyes, it is 1% of closing cost. Why? Because as you know, closing cost has multiple parts to it. And if you say to your clients zero closing cost, they will think that they have to have zero money in pocket and they can buy a house. But at closing, we have prepay items. And prepay items, it is money that on the buyer's responsibility to have. Yes, we can negotiate it with a seller, but we cannot promise it to the buyer, that seller would agree to that. As a result, I would never say it is zero closing cost. I would say it is 1%. NACA is paying all lender fee, all legal fee, all federal fees, everything else. But prepaid items is on buyer's pocket. If buyer has money and seller help buyer with the closing cost, buyer can use seller's money as well as a gift money to prepay interest rate. It is one of the biggest attractions to NACA program, where people can prepay interest rate down to 0.125, fixed for 30 years. It is a possibility, but no obligation. They send 0 points and fees. When we send 0 points and fees, yes, they do not charge any fees for their work. All you have to pay them, it is $25 per calendar year as a membership fee. As of right now, it is membership fee paid while your client is in the process. If your client purchased house and received the key, we call key day as a graduation day. They graduated from a buyer to the homeowner. When they graduated to the homeowner, they don't have to pay membership fee. A lot of people asking, what are the negatives to NACA? It sounds too good to be true. It is no, I would say no negatives, it is more of complications. One of negative complication, house that you buy through NACA can never be rented, can never be investment property while you are still have obligations on NACA loan. If, God forbid, you break this promise and you sign this 3 times, at the initial appointment, at the bank application, and at the closing date, you have $25,000 fine. And this fine being enforced by the silent second mortgage. If buyer or homeowner did not break this rule, then this loan is still silent to the day when you sell it. If rule was broken and you moved out and you put, or not you, your clients, put people and property for rent, they can follow some traces. I don't know how they check in on that, but at the time when seller is ready or owner ready to sell it, become seller, then this silent lien might be activated. I hope it will never happen to anybody. It is, it hurts closing to find out that you have extra 25,000 obligations. Second complication is NACA, considering that it is a nonprofit organization, they're asking for help. And help is volunteer activities. It could be in the form of helping an office to remind people that their appointment coming up, or referring people to NACA. Or you can put yard sign with NACA homeowner up front of your house. It is multiple. I would consider it as a non-complicated or difficult responsibilities. But 5 times a year, they hope you would be able to keep your promise, and 5 times of the year, they are expecting your help. Another inconvenience and complication, a lot of people complaining about NACA process. NACA is not easy process to get qualified with. And this one, I would say, real complication, because you as an agent need to be on the top of transaction. You need to be able to stay on the top of it with your clients. You need to make sure that client is understanding what NACA loan officer is asking him about. You need to make sure that your client is submitting paperwork as soon as they've been requested. Because prior to Corona, NACA, in order for people to start working with NACA, they had to attend the workshop. And workshop was telling people what NACA is all about, what they can provide and support people with, what they expect people to provide and support this to the program. Each time, 2 times a month, this program was full, multiple times in advance, and average sign up was from 300 to 500 people in Atlanta office only. If we're talking about 300 to 500, it is 1,000 people a month, new buyers. But at NACA office, they have an average 10 to 12 loan officers who can support all these people who willing to work with and hoping to work with NACA and receive NACA loan. So as you can understand and imagine, it is a big challenge on the time calendar, on the schedule of the loan officers. So if loan officer is working with your client's file, you need to make sure that your client is on the top of it and working with loan officer. As of right now, as a result of pandemic, NACA does stop doing all these classes online. I mean, usually it was in churches, so in person. Now it is all electronic, all in computer, as well as all loan officers' appointments on the computer. So right now, to sign up for your clients for the workshop, here I'm scrolling down who is eligible, and you're gonna read it all. So to sign up for your clients, they need to go here as a zip code. I put in our zip code, search location, and they have next workshop on 7/25, Spanish. And Spanish on 8/01, and Spanish on 8/08, and Spanish, first English at 8/08. So if you click on sign up and click on schedule, first available really on, in English, 8/22. So even on internet, it is very, very complicated to get there. Excuse me for 1 second.
So Liliya, we know that on the bottom end, there really is no restriction on the low end, it sounds like, but what about on the other end? Can anybody apply for this, or are there limitations on the top end as far as what you make or how much money you have?
Yeah, not how much money you have. So limitations coming down to income. As of right now, NACA considered as a conforming loan. It is not FHA. So as a conforming loan, NACA has 508 purchase price limit. When you go to conventional loan, it is loan amount limit. At NACA, it is a purchase price limit, 508,000 as of right now. However, definitely person need to be qualified for this purchase price. How they calculating it and how they qualifying people. So number one, income limitation. Income limitation as of today, 80% of census average income, which is for Atlanta area right now, to 63,000. So if your client is making 80% of census, 63,000 or less, they have to, they can benefit the most of NACA. They have no limit on locations. They can choose any area. They can choose any type of property. It could be new construction, resale, foreclosure, auction, if auction allowed financing. Fixer-upper, if property require repairs, NACA has escrow for finance, for repairs. Escrow for repairs, hand department, they helping buyer to put money aside for repairs. And if repairs are crucial, like house does not qualified to be livable, like AC is not working, a mold or something like that, buyer can defer their payment up to 6 months. And 6 months, up to 6 months, they're given time for buyer to fix house and make sure that it is in a livable condition. To go through the process with hand department, it is a separate story, but it is doable and it's very rewarding for people.
So how long from beginning when they first register till when they close is the average time frame that it takes?
It's different for everybody. Considering that somebody could have no rental payments and no saving. So they saying, okay, we have no way to make sure that you could afford your monthly payment. Because remember, NACA is character driven. So they ask you, show us at least 6 months of rent payments, or if you live with relatives, put aside money for how much you feel like you can pay for the house, like $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 on a savings account, and show us up to 6 months.
So on the best case scenario where they had everything that they needed and were able to give NACA and they checked off all the boxes, best case scenario, how long? Worst case scenario, how long? Just so we have a range.
Best case scenario, I had people qualified within 30 days, and in 3 months, they were already in the house.
Okay.
Worst case scenario, I had people for 2 years working through the program, and 2.5 years they're in the house.
Okay.
It depends on your patience, people's patience, and
Right.
how much they're ready to sacrifice to make sure that they have a house to live in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 63,000 income is giving us the best, which is any area, and you can buy interest rate down to the 0.125. The next level is 79,000. If client is making up to 79,000, but more than 63, they can still choose any area where to buy, but they're limited to interest rate buy down just 1.5%. If people making more than 79,000, doesn't matter how much, they can buy house in specific areas. They call it target area, which could be in East Cobb. We have target area, which is area where census is below 100%. It is more complicated to find it because you need to go to census website map and literally look through each area which census is divided, mapped to, and see how much it is there. But is it doable? Yes, it is doable. I'm working right now with a client who is qualified for $2,000 payment and buying house in Alpharetta. So it is possible. He is benefiting again from possibility of 1.5% rate reduction, which is today's rate, as you can see, 3%. And he can lock it at 1.5% for 30 years, or he can reduce from 2.3% of 15 years, but on 15 years, it is just 0.75 that he can reduce. On calculation, how to calculate cost to reduce rate. Each quarter of the interest rate equal 1% of the purchase price. So if we want to go from 3% to 2% and house price is 300,000, we need 4 times 3,000, which is 12,000, to get from 3 to 2%. If we need to go down to 2% to 1%, we need to have 8 times 3,000, 24K, and so on. The lowest you can go, it is 0.125.
So there's a question here about, do we need to refer a client to NACA, or can they go to the site and register themselves to start the process?
I would prefer not to refer because NACA does not pay referral fee. But if client registered by himself, and you as agent not registered with NACA, then you will have to pay 33% to NACA as a privilege to work with your client. It is why I started where we need to register as agents, where we need to be qualified and certified as agents to work with our clients.
So you can avoid that 33% if you're registered with NACA.
Yes, yes, you need to register. Then it is, I'm going to my NACA class, NACA web portal. This is when you log in, it is how it looks. And you're going down to start with, and this is my NACA referred clients. And you register your clients here. First name, last name. In order for you to register your client as your client, you need to make sure that you have buyer brokerage agreement. In order for you to submit their contract, you have to upload buyer brokerage again. So if I put all client's information here, but I do not have buyer brokerage, I cannot register this client under myself.
Which is great because you should have one. So, yeah.
Yes, we should have one, and it never hurt. For NACA clients, I am putting buyer brokerage for 12 months at least. So okay. 12 months of buyer brokerage will protect me during the time of qualification. If time is left, that's great. If they've been dragging to the next year, I can use next year forms.
So do you have to have the last four of their social, or can you just put 0000?
I'm usually putting 999, but you don't have to. Not everybody wants to share it. And I don't want to put people in a position where they have to share their social security and then they have some doubts or they change their mind. So I just put 999 and it is easy. As a verification that you know this client, then they using a cell phone provider. Also on this registration, they have very tricky question. If buyer can terminate at any time, which means that if buyer's brokerage agreement could be terminated at any time, and I always have said no. And another question, seller pay closing costs. I always say no because I cannot promise it. If I would say yes and seller did not pay it, I'm giving a false information. If I'm saying no and seller paid for it, everybody happy.
So once you have found a house, does it take longer because they are in the NACA program than a normal closing with Supreme or Silverton, for example? Yes,
it does. It used to be pre-corona that they were claiming that they can do closings in 28 days. As of right now, they're asking at least 45 days. And 45 days because as of right now, they created, they're trying to make it easier for more people to get qualified with NACA, but they don't have extra hands to handle all these extra people. So what they're doing right now, they have what they call events. So on Saturday and Sunday, and sometimes they're doing it 4 days in a week, they have event where people can register for this event in advance. And instead of going just to the workshop or waiting for 3-5 months just for first appointment with the counselor, they can get fully qualified if everything is ready within these 2 days or 3 days while they are in the process on this event. Loan officers right now working 6 days a week. They work Saturday, Sundays. They're off on Mondays. NACA closed on Monday right now. It helps for people to get qualified faster, but in my opinion, it's creating more chaos because people working with somebody they never met and people don't have attachment. If I'm working with Reed Clark or if I'm working with Jeff Hart, they know me, they know my clients, they have personal responsibilities. When it is nationwide and people never met and they have go every hour new client, it is very complicated. So after the first initial workshop, it will be a question, would you prefer to work with local loan officer or with nationwide? I would suggest to go with local because one day NACA will open doors and you will have a personal connection with the person. Because compared to any regular financing, NACA loan officer working as a counselor, which means that they start working with you as a qualifying agent. They don't have processors. So the same person collecting all information, processing all information, submitting this information to underwriter, getting condition from underwriter, working with buyer, getting condition reply back, getting back to underwriter, and it's all on one person. But the same person is working with you after you buy or get under contract, which means that they don't have your under contract appointment scheduled, but their schedule already been full. So they have to work with you before or after scheduled appointment. So it's why I cannot emphasize enough, be mindful of their schedule, and it's not they're here for us, but we are for them. Make sure that we're following requests for information as soon as possible.
So there's a couple of questions that come to mind for me. First of all, so we're using the conventional loan exhibit. Are you putting NACA on there? Because you said that they don't loan money. They're just, so are they the actual person that you put on there, or do you use somebody else?
No, I'm putting Bank of America / NACA.
Okay, all right. And then with
NACA
this process taking longer, Liliya, do you run across issues with getting your offers accepted, especially in multiple offer situations, and how do you overcome that?
Yes, I did multiple times, and the way to overcome it, I always would say that NACA buyer is fully qualified, underwriter approved. At the end of the day, you don't have to expect, oops, buyer does not have this or that. Underwriter already been through the file. Underwriter already approved the file. So it gives buyers, sellers on today's market peace of mind. Because look how many contracts of houses go back on market because something happened with financing. And when we have a fully qualified underwritten file, it gives peace of mind. If buyer's agent can, if seller's agent can explain it to the seller that qualified buyer is not pre-approved, pre-qualified, it is fully qualified buyer. Seller's supposed to make a decision. Is it worse than cash? Yes. Who can compete with cash? But is it better than FHA? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And also one more thing, on contracts, we always have to mention that NACA has a specific attorney. NACA is working just with one attorney office. I'm getting a lot of objections from the seller, especially like foreclosure or new construction, that no, we have to use our attorney. And I always give NACA attorney's phone number and explaining that you need to talk attorney to attorney, and NACA attorney always representing NACA buyer. So if seller have to use their own attorney, they will pay for their attorney. But at the end of the day, attorney is representing the lender, so it doesn't really make sense to use two attorneys. But in a situation with foreclosure or with new construction, they might choose to use their attorney, and buyer will be represented by NACA attorney. Any more questions?
You're good. You're good. and please, you guys chime in. People are putting in the chat, which is great. I think you've covered everything so far. So you're using a conventional loan exhibit, right?
Yes, conventional loan exhibit. And as a qualification points, if person is W-2 income, they have to provide 3 months of bank statements, 2 years of taxes, and 1 month, 30 days of pay stubs. 3 to 1. 3 months of bank statements, 2 years of taxes, 1 month of pay stubs. On the top of it, 12 months of proof of rent payments, preferably payment ledger, and printed from their account proof of rent payments, because rent payments is a big deal for NACA. 3 months of credit card statements. What else? And a tax transcript for taxes for last 2 years. Regular financing, regular banks, they do not ask buyer to provide tax transcript. NACA asks for that.
So Liliya, how do they determine the price that the buyer can buy? Once they submit all the paperwork, I know you said the ranges where they have 63 or 79, but how does NACA determine?
Okay. NACA is using three levels of determination. Number one, and they choosing whatever is less. Number one, 31% of income, of gross income, if buyer has 0 debt. Then 40% of gross income, if buyer has debt, so it will be 40% less debt. And third one, rent payment. If, for instance, buyer is making if buyer is making $4,000 a month, and they take in 40% of 4,000, it is 1,600. Out of 1,600, if they have a car payment of, let's say, 250. 1,600 less 250, we have 1,350. Then if we have
credit card
4,000 and 31%, it is 1,240. And then if we have rent of 1,500, whatever is less, so 31% is less out of 3. If buyer has rent instead of 1,500, $1,000. So rent $1,000, 40% less debt, 1,350, and 31% is 1,240. Then he would be qualified for $1,000. And I'm sorry I forgot to mention, NACA does not qualify people for the purchase price. NACA is qualifying people for the monthly payment. And monthly payment, as you know, include principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and HOA for calculations. All 5 components should fit into this 1,000 or 12 or 13. The way they're doing it, and they justifying it, they're saying that we're teaching buyer that it is buyer's choice what to buy. if they need to fit into the $1,000, they can use choose community where it is 0 HOA. Or they can choose community that is in a lower tax bracket area. Or they can buy interest rate down. Or they can work with insurance. So buyer is in a decision position which house to buy. If buyer's rent amount is $1,000, but buyer's account is growing every month, let's say by $300, they consider it as saving pattern $300. Then they add in $1,000 plus $300, so buyer could be qualified on the rental side as a $1,300. So then they choose whatever is less again, $1,350, $13, or $1,240. So it is always going towards the lower number.
If
And
that, I'm sorry.
at the time of the bank approval for the already for the bank application, when we find the house, they can give you some wiggle room, like a $20, $30, so you can work around that. But this is the way how they present and how they qualifying and how they decided who can do what. If we're going to NACA website, if you go back to NACA website and we go to purchase and purchase program tab, when you scroll down here, they have a calculator. So on the calculator, they have two options. Enter your desired payment. So let's say we need to know how much house we can buy for $1,300 a month. I found a more accurate calculator that is calculating from the purchase price. But when we are on this calculator, so we can put for 30 years today's rate, 12% is Fulton County taxes. In Cobb County, we are at 11% bracket. So taxes here, let's say monthly insurance, I would estimate, let's say $80. And HOA, $30. So with $1,300 a month, we can afford house for $229.
Got it.
If I'm going here and I'm saying that I want to buy house for $250, and my desired monthly payment end up at $1,440. So what I can do if my client has, let's say, $10,000, we're putting it as a down payment, and we can fit into our monthly payment.
Got it. And then, okay, cool. So there was a question about the initial, and I think this was from Yvette. The question is, do you sit with the buyer to register? Like when you walk that, like when they register for it, and are you with them during the workshop?
No, I'm not going to workshop, especially right now, it is all virtual. I know 99.9% more than regular NACA agent,
Yes,
real
you
estate
do.
agent. And they asked me to teach classes to them.
Yes,
But,
you do.
Yes, you do. You're awesome at this.
You do. You are awesome. Thank you so much for your time. You are fantastic.
thank you, guys.
And if I ever have a NACA client, we're coming straight to your office.
Mhm.
I can teach you how to do that. You know, what we always say, I can always give you one fish, but I can also give you a chance to learn how to fish, and then help yourself much better.
Yes,
Great.
ma'am. There we go. There's your thumbs up right there.
So we guys, I can help you to learn NACA. I can teach you, I can guide you, but the same I'm doing for my clients. I'm helping them, but word help, it does not mean do job for them or
Right.
instead of them.
Mhm.
So if you need my help, I'm always here. I'm on the second floor in aquarium. But if you want me to do job for you, it is more complicated.
Yeah, yeah.
And for those of you that don't know, she calls the aquarium the room that's got the glass wall. So it makes you feel like she's in a fishbowl. So just, yeah, that's in case you didn't know.
And
Awesome.
a quick question.
Mhm.
Hey, Liliana, how do we contact you?
678-481-4486.
678-481-4486.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you for doing the class.
There was
Sure.
another question here. Will you show us again how to check to see if there are any income limits for our clients? Is there a cap on how much income can be?
Yes, I can show you this map. Go to income limit. It is very simple. If your client, okay, if your client is 1099, on 1099 they take in, if they are Schedule C 1099, so they take in whatever they claim as an income on 1099 on Schedule C, plus if they have any payments, any deductions that could be added back. For instance, car depreciation. If let's say a person made 500,000 a year, but they put deductions for 400,000. For 400,000, then they made just 100,000. If they made 500 and they write off 495, then they make just 5,000. But if also they write off depreciation of 15,000, so their income is 15 plus 5, 20,000. Not 500 that they make by 1099. If they are on a corporate self-employment, then they take in corporate income plus any corporate distribution K1, and it would be determined as an income. And also they can add depreciation from corporate taxes, because it could be money that could be distributed. So how to check where to buy if your client is above, income is above 79. So let's say I'm putting 3730 Roswell Road, Marietta. Search. So number one, you can see here that census demographic for 20 is not available yet. So we need to go with 19. So this is our building. I'm clicking user track. I'm clicking here and census demographic data. On the demographic data, you can see right here in track median family income, 166%. So if your client is making more than 79,000, he cannot buy in this area. And census areas, unfortunately, is not square, is not round, it's not, they're very irregular shapes. So for me to determine where my client can buy, I need to go and click on all different locations, on shapes, and see which one would be fitting into it. So is it a pain? Yes. Pain in all parts of your body? Yes. Is it worth it? I don't know. Your client will decide for himself, or you will decide for yourself if you want to do that. So usually when people making more than 79,000, I would say, guys, does it worth it for you? And we analyze it. If person has zero credit, nobody else can lend him. If it's worth it, yes. If person has foreclosure 2 years ago, nobody else gonna lend them besides NACA because everybody need 5 and more. Stuff like that. If person has zero money for down payment and they don't want to go with down payment assistance, which will increase their closing costs, it will increase their interest rate. So yes, NACA worth it. For some people, it's worth it. For some people, thank God we can go with regular. Because find something based on this map is complicated.
So basically what you're telling us, and I want to make sure everybody hears this program is not for everybody.
No, like any dress is not all size fits all. People need to be determined what they buy. And I always emphasize, if you want to buy for short time, it doesn't worth it. It doesn't work. If you want to live in a house year or two, doesn't make any sense. If you want to live in a house more than 4 years, then yes. It is one more point to NACA. As of right now, after predatory lending rules, NACA was not able to let people buy interest rate down to zero. And it is where this challenge coming from in regard of the 63%, 63,000. If your client is below 63,000, they qualified as a preferred buyer. For preferred buyer, if buyer invests more than, buying down more than 1.5% of interest, which is 6 points. 1 point is quarter, in 1% is 4 quarters, 0.5% is 2 more quarters. So if your buyer is buying more than 6 points of interest, whatever is greater than 6 points, this amount is coming back to the buyer in the form of down payment. It is a grant from Bank of America. It is available now. I don't know if it's going to be available in a year or so next year. But as of right now, if my client buying a house of 300,000 and he is investing 30,000, which is 10 points, out of 30,000, 12,000 will go back to down payment and work also as an interest reduction. So whatever is greater than 6 points, working 2 times, principal and interest reduction, the same money. Not everybody has this money, but if your client investing money in interest reduction and they live in a house more than 4 years, they after the 4 years, they would be 100% benefiting from low interest. Because when I was calculating, after 4 years, if you put the same amount of money into the down payment and the same amount of money into the interest rate reduction, you will have, oh, where's my NACA? You will have balance on your loan the same. And after 5 years, your principal reduction will go much faster down than, excuse me, than with a higher interest.
So just for clarification, the 79,000 is per household, not per person, correct?
Yes, per household.
And then based on your example that you gave us, what would be the income limit on one of those spots you clicked on? Or is it more whether or not they can buy based on, it has to do with the income, the percentage of income in that area. It's not about your client, it's about that area, correct?
Right. So if your client makes more than 79,000, he needs to find area where medium income is below 100%.
Got it.
Let's say 99.6, that's great. You can fit there. See, like this one is 102.98, we cannot go there.
Mhm.
There's
Okay,
one.
we found it, yes. 96.71. And we are here in Chattahoochee National, so Sandy Springs, perfect. Great area, wonderful location. Unfortunately, it is a Roswell. It is a Roswell, Narcross Street, yes.
Yeah, that's Rose.
People who's making more than 96, they can, 79, they can go there. But would house be available in that spot? What they want? Would house be available in the conditions that they want? Would house be available in the prices they want? We cannot guarantee, but we know where they can look at it.
Right.
Mm,
Whew, there's a lot to calculate.
I know. Ooh.
So if I have 10,000 and I'm locking rate at 2%, at the end of the day, my client will pay 82,000 of interest on 250,000 house. If I use, and their monthly payment is 1284. If I use this 10,000 and use them as a principal reduction, which is down payment, their monthly payment becoming, instead of 1284, 1372. So we are 100 up, and over 20 years, they will pay 124,000.
So it's better to buy down the rate.
So a lot of people saying it is wasted money. I would disagree.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
My
Well, I mean,
client
we
buying
know that for a
inter-
fact, whenever you get a discount on the purchase price, it doesn't really affect your monthly payment enough to make it worthwhile.
yes, yes. That's why with NACA, most of the time we are negotiating closing cost because we can use seller's money towards the interest rate buy down.
Mhm.
So if my client has 10,000 of his money and 5,000 of closing cost, if we have 15,000, our interest rate going down to 1.5, and my monthly payment is 1223. Over 30 years, we're going down to 60,000.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Any more questions, guys?
So now you all know that we have an expert at NACA in our office, and if you ever have a question about it, you know who to reach out to because she is the goddess of NACA. Let's put it.
Appreciate
Yes.
it.
And can I just say, this is Yvette.
Yeah.
I actually had the pleasure of working with Liliya on a NACA deal, and she helped me through it so much and made the process so much easier while I was on the listing side. So I am interested in helping out buyers with the program too.
Cool. And
But thank you,
congratulations
Liliya.
to you for
Thank you,
taking
Yvette.
a NACA deal as a listing agent. So that's awesome. I think there's a lot of things that we don't know about NACA, and there's a lot of assumptions out there, and the more that you know, the easier it is to work with or to at least understand.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, I would have been a whole lot more resistance to accepting a NACA deal if it wasn't, that it was Liliya on the other side who was closed over 300. So that made me a lot more confident in it.
Yep, absolutely. All right, everyone. Thank you. Thanks again, Liliya, for your time and your
You're
knowledge
welcome. You're
and being willing to share with us and your expertise. So thank you so much. This has been recorded. It will be on the quantrain.com as well as all of our other trainings. So don't miss out. All right, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys, and
Have a
good
great
luck.
day.
Liliya, owe you lunch, darling.
I feel
Thanks so
like
much,
it's not enough.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
It was an opportunity. Bye-bye.